Congressman Louis Gohmert's doing his part. One of many conservatives speaking out against this federal hate crimes bill making its way through Congress right now. It could potentially criminalize preaching against homosexuality. Let me explain it to you. This bill passed by a House Judiciary Committee 15 to 12 last week. An amendment proposed by Gohmert was turned down that would have ensured that ministers could not be prosecuted for abetting a hate crime against gays and lesbians because they quoted something from their religious book, like the Bible, that condemned homosexuality. In other words, if a Christian or Muslim or Jewish minister condemned the act of gays and lesbians, and someone heard those words, went out and committed a crime, a violent crime against a homosexual, the minister could be charged under this federal hate crimes bill. Opponents say the bill is making its way through Congress and is absolutely a suppression of free speech and freedom of religion. We're loading them up this morning at 593-5822. I want to listen very closely to these comments we're asking. Do you think religious preachers should be exempt or protected from prosecution under any hate crimes bill?
You know, Garth, I've never heard my pastor come out and openly say that he hates homosexuals or homosexuality. He does say, according to the Word of God, that it is a sin, just like drinking to excess, cursing, stealing, lying, committing adultery. I think whoever proposed this legislation was probably, or is probably, a homosexual. And if this passes, this is going to start a domino effect that we're going to see for years. It's going to greatly influence our personal freedoms.
The Bible says, be fruitful and multiply. So that means a man and a woman. So as far as homosexuality, I don't believe in it. And as far as somebody committing a crime now against somebody like that, it's against the law to bring harm against anybody. But as far as homosexuality, it's against God, so I'm against it too. So no, religious leaders shouldn't be prosecuted for what somebody else does.
The concept of a hate crimes bill is crazy. More to the point of this one, it's another blame somebody else. Somebody makes a comment, second person gets all hyped about it and goes out and shoots third person. It's crazy. Put the responsibility where it belongs.
I had a brother that was a homosexual, and I don't care what they say about homosexuals. They're still citizens, they're still brothers, and they're still sisters. And nobody should say, well, she shouldn't be this way, she shouldn't be that way. My brother didn't choose to be a homosexual. He always said, always wanted to know why he was like that. It wasn't of his choosing. It was something that he was born with.
Now, whether you agree with that statement or not, you should know this. A similar bill was proposed a couple of years ago, but it failed to get any kind of real substantial support because President Bush opposed it very strongly. However, President Obama, change in the White House, supports this federal hate crimes bill, and he encourages greater gay rights. So we're asking you this morning, do you think religious preachers should be exempted or protected from prosecution under any hate crimes bill? Now, a lot of you are saying, I don't think a hate crimes bill makes sense in the first place.
Yeah, a lot of hateful things have been said by preachers. I'm reminded now of President Obama's then preacher in Chicago who said terrible, terrible things, recorded terrible things about this country, about certain people. Is that not hate speech as well? So, and again, is not all crimes should be, again, hate crimes, I suppose?
Well, if you look at it this simple, and it goes back to what Charlotte said before, is that any act conducted by another person, how that's imputed to someone else is amazing. Yeah. If you were to say, listen, are we against drug dealers? Everybody would say, yeah, I think what drug dealers is terrible. Does that mean you're inciting someone to go out and gun one down? Of course not. 593-5822, should religious preachers be exempt or protected from prosecution under any hate crimes bill? Can what they say be used against them in the court of law?
I think it's beyond the pulpit here. I think that we're talking about playing the blame game. Yeah. And I mean, this could go on to so many different things other than homosexuality, where somebody commits a crime and says, well, my preacher said that, you know, referenced this in the pulpit, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, somebody should be held accountable for their actions, and I think that is something that we need to be sticking to.
That's a great point, Charlotte. It is beyond the pulpit, and I think one of our callers referenced it there. This is really opening up a can of worms of suppression of free speech and freedom of religion in general. If you want to weigh in, 593-5822 is a phone number, and we're to lighten them up this morning, that's for sure.
All right, Garth, and also tune in for those questions, some of those viewer comments and listener comments coming up on KTK NBC.